Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode of the Owl Talk podcast. I'm your host, Drew Carpenter. This week we have the pleasure of chatting with Director of Programs Alexander Pettigrew about the Bonds of Brotherhood Mental Health Initiative. Welcome to the podcast, Alex.
Drew, how you doing? It's good to be here with you again, and for a really important topic, I would say.
Absolutely, man. Always good to have you on the podcast, and certainly something that I'm interested in talking about with you today. So if you don't have anything else, we'll go ahead and jump into some questions.
Absolutely.
In 2018, Sigma Pi initiated the focus on mental health within its membership. Could you share the reasons behind this decision and the initial steps the fraternity took to address mental health issues?
Yeah. So it's a good question and a good way to start us on this conversation, I will say. So for Sigma Pi Fraternity, I think going back to 2018, mental health and the conversation around awareness, what it means, what it actually, means to contribute to this conversation was something that we were interested in. We were, starting to actively look into how can we be a resource for our members, for the community that our members are a part of, and just everything that kind of includes. With that, we started to kind of start meeting with professionals who, are in the industry and work specifically with mental health. So Sigma Pi had started to take those steps in that direction. During that time, we had a member of the staff of Sigma Pi who had passed and taken his own life. And that ended up being something that for Sigma Pi really just, I guess, exemplified that this is a conversation that, we need to be a part of. We'd started to go down that track. We had started to consider that, this was something that we could provide to our members. But when something like that happens, it became a focal point for us to make sure that, we pushed ahead and we were able to meet with those professionals, meet with the people who are going to be able to assist Sigma Pi and, again, providing our members, whether they're undergraduates, whether they're alumni, friends, family, community members of our members. So I guess really the big thing is when it comes to this whole conversation, this initiative, the Bonds of Brotherhood, mental health in general, Sigma Pi realized and understands that we're all going through, different paths in life. We're all traversing through our own adventures. But ultimately, mental health is something that's tied to that relationship, as we're all growing and continuing to move forward with our lives. So Sigma Pi really wanted to be able to say, we support our members, again, the friends and family of our members, the community that our members are from, and we wanted to be able to say, we are providing resources, we are taking that step to make sure you have what you need. And again, it's not only success fraternally that Sigma Pi wants to promote and provide, it's success is being better people, being better men, being better members of our community.
Yeah, I was an undergraduate student during that time, Alex, and I remember that shift, the focus on mental health. And I'm glad that as I've come on staff and begun to work for Sigma Pi, I've seen that continue to be a priority here. So I'm glad to hear that from you. My next question. The Bonds of Brotherhood Companion Guide was introduced in 2020 as a comprehensive resource for mental health awareness within Sigma Pi. Can you explain the goals and contents of this manual and how it empowers members to advocate for mental health?
Of course, Addison, and that's a really good follow-up question to where we kind of just started this conversation. I will say, and, to my last point, when Sigma Pi was, really making an effort, and we are constantly making an effort to, spread awareness and have the conversation about mental health, we were all obviously impacted by the pandemic. So again, another, cog in the timeline that really springboarded us into action, into saying, this is an opportunity, but a moment for this organization to be able to provide our members with another resource, with another tool to, again, be able to address the conversation, to be able to, spread awareness themselves. So the manifestation of that was the Bonds of Brotherhood Companion Guide, like you said, which we launched in 2020. And like you said, again, it's a comprehensive resource. It goes through mental health awareness, and it does a couple of things. And our goal was for it to be kind of versatile in what it offers our members who are going to be utilizing it, or sharing it, or, passing it along to whoever they may be. The big thing for the Bonds of Brotherhood, and we've put a lot of time into this, especially in working with our strategic partner, the JED Foundation, is when you open the Bonds of Brotherhood Companion Guide, you're going to find two different sections, which are the main and kind of focal points of it. The first is going to be ways in which you're able to assist and kind of better help your own mental health. And then that second section is going to be how you're able to better assist your peers. So again, whether it's a member of your chapter, it's a friend, a family member, somebody in your community, how you're able to assist them when it comes to the conversation of mental health. So really, it's a tool in its entirety that allows for our members to be better advocates for mental health, but then also at the same time, being able to, have that awareness, being able to go in and say, okay, these are some things that have been highlighted that I may be seeing from myself, from somebody I know and care about. And then these are things that I can go and, actively do to assist myself, to assist a peer. And, whether that's just putting them in contact with the right person. The Bonds of Brotherhood Companion Guide is meant to be a tool and resource, again, that's going to allow you to, one, have that conversation a little bit more comfortably. And again, kind of point you in the right direction. So whether that's seeking outside assistance, whether that is helping somebody, again, you care about, find that outside assistance. So overall, I would say to your question, Drew, it's a guide that kind of opens the door and allows for our members to feel comfortable with the conversation of mental health. And again, it's just the first step. There are so many resources out there, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit more as, we continue having our conversation. But this is really like that first step. This is an easy way for our members, and again, anybody who is interested in this conversation, to kind of be a bit better equipped in having it.
Yeah, Alex, I like you mentioned the pandemic in there. I know we're a couple of years post-pandemic, but mental health was a big conversation, a big focus that came out of that time frame. And again, glad that Sigma Pi has taken that up and has continued to focus on men's mental health, especially our members here, which I think is a great segue into my next question for you. So this initiative aims to promote mental health and safety within the Sigma Pi community. Could you elaborate on the specific objectives and strategies of this campaign, as well as its impact on the individuals and the larger community?
Yeah, so that's another great question. You always have great questions, Drew. I think kind of getting away from kind of the components of this initiative, something like the Bonds of Brotherhood Companion Guide, when you look at the overall strategy, when you look at the Bonds of Brotherhood as an initiative as a whole, we have a lot of people on our team who have done a lot of great work to be able to dedicate time to, again, make sure this is something that's going to be successful for us. So with that, we've taken this three-prong approach when it comes to the initiative itself. Those prongs are going to be awareness, programming, and fundraising. When it comes to awareness, again, we've really tried to make sure that we are able to initiate that conversation for our members, again, for their family, friends, our communities, wherever they may be. So that really starts for us with some timelines throughout the course of the year that are going to be important to this conversation. So in September, you have suicide prevention. That's a focal point of that month, but in general, throughout the course of the year as well, obviously. But Sigma Pi really wants to make sure that, we are making sure our members know that it's okay to have these conversations. It's a real thing, but we want to make sure that, we're putting out information, we're having that conversation during that month. The same thing goes for May, which is going to be Mental Health Awareness Month. So that's, again, another opportunity for Sigma Pi to be able to kind of insert ourselves into this conversation and have that dialogue. Other opportunities that Sigma Pi is taking when it comes to awareness, though, is storytelling. So one of the big things that we want to be able to do as an organization, as a fraternity, as a support system for our members is give our members a safe space to be able to have this conversation and tell what their story is in relation to mental health awareness, mental health in general. And a way that our members can do that is through the hashtag Sigma Pi Bonds. With that, again, it gives us an opportunity to be able to give our members, again, a platform to talk about this. I know a lot of times as, young men in general, it may be difficult for us to, just open up and have these conversations. But again, Sigma Pi wants to make sure that we're promoting through every step that this is a conversation, we want to be able to have with our members, with each other in general. Lastly, we go ahead and we do different types of email and SMS campaigns. We have more coming along the way. But again, really making sure that we're able to have the conversation and spread awareness on the topic. That second prong that I had talked about is going to be programming. So when it comes to programming, we started talking about the Bonds of Brotherhood Companion Guide. And that's been a huge thing for us. That was something that we really wanted to launch, and we were able to successfully do so. That's been a resource that we feel is, something that, again, starts the conversation, opens the door to this conversation in general. But also when it comes to our programming, it's really important for Sigma Pi to be able to not only, have the fraternity have this conversation with our members, but bring in people who are, qualified. They are experts within the industry. So that means targeting our educational workshops. An opportunity that Sigma Pi was able to take, and, we're proud to say we did, was having the JED Foundation join us for our 2022 convocation. So, not only are we celebrating, 125 years of Brotherhood and membership at an event like that, we're bringing in, again, qualified speakers who are able to, again, have this conversation with us, allow our members to understand that, this is normal. This is something that we can talk about. Moving forward, Sigma Pi wants to continue having speakers like that join us. So at Convocation 2024, we want to bring the JED Foundation back. We want to be able to, whether they're at our regional events around the country, like Engage, but bring in speakers who are going to be able to, again, have this conversation with our members, educate them on this topic, and make sure that when they leave, they're able to understand what it means to, again, be an advocate for mental health. Lastly, we have fundraising. And when it comes to fundraising, we have set a couple of different goals over the years for this topic, this initiative. And we go through two different kind of channels for that. That's going to be our alumni and our undergraduates. So as we are, continuing to move forward and, progress in what this all means for Sigma Pi, we want to be able to support the program financially. And fundraising is obviously going to be a huge component for that. I went on for a second there, Drew. I want to make sure I answered your question, though, but that has been the big strategy and kind of plan when it comes to addressing the Bonds of Brotherhood. I believe you had asked me as well, what's kind of like the goal when it comes to the impact on individuals and the larger community. So I will say to that, and I think you can kind of pull this away from what I'm saying, ultimately, when it comes to the individuals, when it comes to, again, our members, we really want to be able to open the door and allow our members to feel comfortable having this conversation. For me, for members of our team who have contributed to this program, this initiative, the programming and, awareness aspects that we're targeting, I think this helps our members become better men. Because again, it allows for them to advocate for themselves. It allows for them to advocate for their peers. And then when you take that a step back and you look at the larger community, our goal at Sigma Pi, again, is to be able to create and kind of instill that confidence to be able to allow our members to impact the larger community. So, why not Sigma Pi, I think, is the big thing. Why can't we be on the forefront of this conversation? And again, assisting our communities in being better. It's so much bigger than just us, so much bigger than just our members. And I think as you grow older and you become an alum of the organization, that's something you realize. How can you pass along the opportunity to be better? And I think that this campaign, this initiative, the program it all gives us that opportunity to do so.
Yeah, Alex, I really like what you had to say there. I thoroughly enjoyed hearing that description of this program. It sounds very intentional. It sounds like you said we could be on the forefront of this movement in the fraternal industry. And again, I love the question you posed. Why not Sigma Pi? Which I think is a great message to take away from this podcast today, and to consider when thinking about men's mental health, especially in the fraternal space. That entire thought you just shared with us, I think that is a great summary of Sigma Pi's involvement in the Bonds of Brotherhood program, and I think kind of answers my next question for you, which is my last question for the day. Sigma Pi's partnership with the JED Foundation has led to the creation of the Sigma Pi Lifeline, an online mental health resource center. How has this collaboration benefited college students, and what specific tools and resources are available through the Sigma Pi Lifeline?
I think that's a great kind of closeout conversation for us, Drew, as we're having this conversation in general. I'm very excited to say that, yes, we did start that strategic partnership with the JED Foundation back in 2020. Obviously, like we've talked about through this podcast, there have been so many things over the years that have propelled Sigma Pi to say, let's have this conversation. Let's provide this resource. Let's make sure that we provide something like this initiative for and to our members. Like you just said, one of the things that came from that partnership with the JED Foundation is the Sigma Pi Lifeline. With that, for any of our members who are not aware of what it is, who have not accessed it, Sigma Pi Lifeline is a dedicated platform that you can access that is going to provide more of the resources that I talked about earlier. So if the Bonds of Brotherhood Companion Guide is that kind of door opener, that first step into you having the conversation surrounding mental health, you becoming a bit better versed in the conversation of being a mental health advocate, the Sigma Pi Lifeline page is going to then take it a step further. It's going to provide more resources, more information, more data. It's going to really be a beacon or a focal point, a space in which is dedicated to Sigma Pi that our members can access in order to, again, get that information. With that, you asked what kind of tools and resources are going to be available. So I would say first, and kind of just more specifically, and tying it back to the Bonds of Brotherhood Companion Guide, because this all comes full circle and ties together. Again, this is going to be able to provide our members with more resources that are going to be focused on how can I assist myself, but then again, how can I also assist my peers? And I know for me as a member of the fraternity, like my community is very large. It spans much farther than just my peers from when I was an undergraduate. It's the members of our organization as alum. It's the members of the undergraduate base who I've had the opportunity to meet over the years. It's my friends, my family, the people I work with every day. So being able to have a dedicated resource that's going to give me, again, information, data, and statistics, it's going to provide best practices, tips, things that you need to know when it comes to this conversation. I think it's imperative. It's so huge. It's so important for us. And that's something that we want our members to access. On top of that, another awesome tool that comes from this is in accessing Sigma Pi Lifeline. You're actually able to locate the local resources as well as national, but I really want to focus on local here for you as a member. So if you are in a certain part of the country, you're actually able to go in there, you're able to look up what are the mental health resources available to me, near me, around me. So we're really able to key in and provide the resource, not only as something that's online, but as something that's going to be geographically relevant to our members. Last thing I will say, and I think it's awesome that we're able to say that we can be a part of this, is the self-assessment tool. So being able to go in and actually take quick questionnaire to kind of break down and further understand what might be going on. By going through a self-assessment tool, you're able to go in and, again, better understand, okay, this is my situation, this is my scenario. Maybe the same thing for, again, that peer that you may be assisting. But from there, you're then able to kind of find what might be the next best steps from that. Again, Sigma Pi's goal is to be able to open the doorway and allow our members to be comfortable and confident in having these conversations, being an advocate for mental health, and then, again, being able to assist themselves and their peers. And I will say one thing, Drew, you didn't ask, but I do just kind of want to elaborate on it. When it comes to resources like this, our understanding and expectation is not that by going through these things, you will become a mental health professional, an expert of the topic. Again, this is an opportunity for us, though, to initiate the conversation, have it, and point our members in the right direction, whether it's our members or our peers, but point them in the right direction to make sure they get the assistance they need. So again, this is all really a great way for our members to, and I keep saying it, but I can't express it enough, open the doorway to having this conversation, being a better advocate for mental health, being better members of Sigma Pi, and just being better members of our community in general.
Alex, I think that is a great way to wrap up today's episode. That said, that's all we have. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Owl Talk podcast, and thank you, Alex, for sharing information about the bonds of brotherhood with us. For everyone listening, make sure to hit subscribe and please leave a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform. And as always, I believe.